Welcome to Public Safety Talk Radio, the podcast for all of our heroes in public safety, including law enforcement professionals, firefighters, EMTs, corrections officers, healthcare workers, and more. This show is produced by the POCUA and is founded upon its Soundness initiative. This episode is sponsored by Police Mortgage. Police Mortgage is a full-service mortgage company dedicated to serving police officers and first responders. Founded in 2008, Police Mortgage offers a variety of mortgage products tailored to meet the needs of those who serve and protect. Police Mortgage, for first responders who are second to none. I am Ken Bader, your host for Public Safety Talk Radio, and we've gone back to basics, and I'm really pleased about this. It's been a while, in fact, a number of seasons before we've had an executive from one of our POCUA credit unions join us for an episode, and that is happening today. I have the CEO of Police Credit Union of California, Eddie Young, with me, and we're going to have a great conversation. Eddie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ken, and thank you very much for inviting me to your show.
It's my privilege, you know. I love having executives and, frankly, any volunteer employee from any of our POCUA credit unions, because I think it really hits on the financial pillar. And with your institution being our largest in assets, it's really a privilege to have you on, my man.
Oh, it's great to be here.
So let's go to the number one question, which is why Police Credit Union of California? What makes your financial, forget that you're even a credit union, what makes your financial institution different than any of the others out there?
Well, to start off, I would say 3 words: peace of mind. We understand, we recognize the profession that many of our members are in. Now, I will also share with you, my oldest son is also a police officer. So I get it.
I was gonna hit on that, and that I think is extremely important. Is that you get it. You have a close family member in the profession,
right? So to take off on those 3 words, peace of mind. What does it really mean? For us, it's multiple facets. Number one, we recognize that as peace officers, but also inclusive of their members, meaning family members.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, the spouse, right? The significant other at home. That sometimes the law enforcement officer is out there doing his or her duty, but there's always somebody in the background managing the domestic front. Sometimes, for most of the time, based on our research, they do a lot of the banking work, right, behind the scenes. So really that a part of that peace of mind is knowing full well that they are dealing with a financial institution that understands about them, cares about them, truly in tune with who they are, what they do. And so for us, that is very important, because then we structure what is products, services that meet their needs based on their specifics. The other thing that kind of ties into all of that is we have a 70-year history. We've been in business for 70 years. And over that stretch of time, when it was started out with our 10 founding fathers, now has grown to over 43,000 members throughout the state of California, as well as actually they're members of law enforcement that comes from different parts of the country that have heard about us and have elected to become a member of this fine institution. Yeah. So from that standpoint, we have built up over the years, I would say, a sizable piggy bank, right? To be able to handle such as economic times back, let's just say back in the 2008, 2010, the Great Recession,
right?
Where
I chose to just completely forget about that. Thanks for reminding me.
Well, things like that happen. And for us as a financial institution, we, based on what is referred to as capital, right? That the piggy bank, we were able to withstand that turbulent storm and we came out of it, on firm grounds. So I think from the law enforcement slash consumer standpoint, it's knowing full well that the financial institution, the credit unit that they are working with, that they have put their trust and confidence and faith in, it's nowhere in any degree, shape, or form at risk, that they don't have to go through the wondering of, for example, like with Silicon Valley Bank lately, or with First Republic. Oh, is it there? Is it not there? We're here. We've been here, and we will continue to be here. So, kind of moving forward a bit.
Sure.
Is from that peace of mind, is we also understand that unlike my job, right? We're an office job. I go to the office each day, and I'm able to know full well that certain time I'm going back home. For law enforcement folks, it is a sometimes unpredictable schedule. I know from just based on firsthand experience with my son, his shift starts at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
But does that mean he clocks out at 4? Not necessarily. Sometimes that 10-hour shift could become a 16-hour shift. And it has been in the past, has become somewhat of like a 22-hour shift.
Sure.
Goes home, sleep for a couple of hours. Guess what? Start all over, go back again.
Yeah.
So that unpredictability means that there is, for them, again, when they leave that door, in the morning, they want to have that peace of mind as to, hey, is my family going to be okay if something happens to me?
Yeah.
Is the financial situation going to be taken care of and addressed properly? And so based on that, we have certainly taken into consideration and have, offered products, a service that would ensure that degree of safety, that piece of the financial safety and peace of mind for those that are at home.
Yeah, you're an excellent interview, because you segued to my next question perfectly. But I'll tie it into something that you said, which everything you said was correct. But I think one thing in particular that's very poignant, that not every one of the police credit unions out there really get. And I would say that quite a few that aren't in the POCUA don't seem to get it. There might be one or two in the POCUA that needs a little refresher on this, is how important the spouse is to this relationship. Because, and I've heard this, and I'll say this almost verbatim, and it was at I'll give them a little plug, because they're in our state, How to Love Our Cops, out of the Sacramento area, which is an excellent group run by Vicki Newman, that really helps a lot of law enforcement spouses out there. And I remember talking to a few police wives that all had kids, and we were talking about, which will lead me to my question. I mentioned it many times, as killed in line of duty debt protection. I believe your institution calls it end of watch, so we'll get into that, but it's the same product. These wives actually said, and this is almost a verbatim quote, he says, my husband, he gets out there with his buddy, he goes out, at like midnight, and to go out and catch bad guys and have fun. I'm sure her husband may not think of it that way. And then he comes home at 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, and goes to sleep. I'm the one that has to worry about the kid's future. I'm the one that pays the mortgage. I'm the one that pays the bills and the auto loan and so forth. And he may not want to think about dying on the job, but I sure as hell think about it. That's why I work with every credit union, every institution that I can that's tied to law enforcement, to protect my family. And I think, what you alluded to, and you understanding through your son, that the unfortunate happens. And, to have something like end of watch, that's goes above and beyond just being a financial institution, that really understands the relationship that you have with a
Mhm.
member, I think is key. So speak to that end of watch. Yeah, I'm actually interested as well because you're the only credit union, which is perfectly fine, that I think refers to that product as end of watch. So speak to that product a little bit and the name end of watch and how that came about.
Sure. First of all, no one really wants to talk
Sure.
about, right, what potentially could happen, particularly in the law enforcement profession. And in some areas, from a cultural perspective, that's taboo.
Hmm.
You know,
Sure. Yeah. Nobody wants to
yeah,
go. Wants to be getting walking into the precinct at 11:30 p.m. saying I could die tonight. That's
yeah.
not going to serve
So
him or her well.
right, right. So when we look at what we could, as an organization, what we could offer to our law enforcement members, well, to the law enforcement community in general, when we think about particularly our our roots, right? We basically came out of San Francisco.
Hmm.
Now we're serving the entire state of California. But one thing to be recognized is the cost of living, the cost of housing in San Francisco Bay Area, as well as in California,
Hmm.
it is not cheap.
I live in Long Beach. I wouldn't know anything about that. Thank you for picking up on that as being a joke. Anyhow, continue.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad I was able to jog your memory a bit here.
Yeah.
But but now when you think about it, nationwide, right? Recently, the information came out that the average cost of a home now in the United States now it's over $400,000.
Hmm.
That's not a small amount.
Yeah.
And so when you think about living in California on a wage for law enforcement folks, and what happens if that wage, right, with this base wage plus overtime
Hmm.
goes away? What will happen to the surviving spouse? We're talking about a severe, extreme financial hardship placed on that person, not to mention the the kind of the mental
Sure.
anguish, right? The mental crisis that the
Hmm.
person is facing. Then on top of that, well, how am I going to make my mortgage payment? How
Hmm.
am I going to make that car payment? And oh, by the way, there's credit card
Hmm.
bills that's coming as well. And so for us, this was a no-brainer for us to demonstrate our support for law enforcement is to come up with and really provide this product at no cost
Hmm.
to our members to cover their debt up to $850,000. And that's combined, right? Whether there's, let's just say 500 in mortgage and you got
Right.
let's just say fancy car, $100,000 car loan, right? So all those are covered so that the surviving spouse, again, back to what I said earlier, the three words, peace of mind,
Hmm.
will not have to worry about where that money's going to come from to pay off, to keep the roof over their head, as well as not having to relocate
Hmm.
their kids. So we feel that is something that we should do. And so we're proud to declare that, yeah, we have since the inception, since the offering of
Right.
this product, this coverage to our members, it has taken on very well in terms of acceptance by our membership.
Hmm.
Um, and so far, um, I believe we have unfortunately paid out once, but that's one too many.
Yeah.
Um, but again, it provides that sense of comfort
Right.
to well, to the cop that's going to work, but also to the family members at home.
Are you looking for a podcast to answer some financial questions? Well, then check out the Mortgage Beat podcast, brought to you by Police Mortgage, for first responders who are second to none. Mortgage Beat gives insight into the home loan process specifically for police officers, firefighters, and other public safety professionals. The podcast is hosted by Police Mortgage CEO John Aritos, who has decades of experience in the mortgage industry. Check out Mortgage Beat on Spotify today.
All at the current time, all of our credit unions in the POCUA offer that product, and
Mhm.
it's the same at that $850,000 max aggregate.
Right.
And I remember at our last event, the CEO of our Hartford Police Credit Union of Connecticut, Wendy Tariff, unfortunately, they had a line of duty death.
Hmm.
And the killed in line of duty debt protection did kick in. Now it wasn't a huge amount. I want to say it was somewhere between 20 and 25,000.
Hmm.
But she said that to be able to in that time, which is so difficult for a family to at least be able to say this is taken care of.
Right.
Of all the other things that you need to worry about, that's
Correct.
not one of them. And I think it leads to another question because I'm not originally from California. I've lived here for, over 15 years. I'm originally from the Chicago, Illinois area. Maybe being an outsider somewhat, it's almost like California is it's its own darn world.
Hmm.
And to your point, $400,000 for a home in Los Angeles County or San Francisco County is probably not a house you want to live in. It's not that difficult to think that you're going to have, an $850,000 mortgage
Hmm.
in the state of California, depending on where you live. So that leads me to speaking of the challenges of California law enforcement above all these other 49 states. I think that this is the most challenging state to be a police officer.
Hmm.
And to speak a little bit to what your institution really does above and beyond for the law enforcement in this state.
Sure. Again, the cost of housing in
Yeah,
California, that's really the number one challenge.
yeah.
And I think that in and of itself uh, creates kind of a barrier to recruitment of new folks into the law enforcement profession for people that are perhaps outside of California wanting to come in. The the effort that we've made is what again, right, it's constant. We never stop thinking about what can we do for our law enforcement uh, community.
Hmm.
And so one of the other products that we have developed about a year ago is a 0% down mortgage payment. Basically, it's a 0% down home loan. Now, for first-time home buyers,
Hmm.
and so think about this. In order to buy a home in California,
Hmm.
typically it takes about 20% down payment. When you
Right.
think about 20%, let's just say on
A
even a
million.
$1 million home,
Yeah, which is not uncommon. I
right? It's
mean,
not,
the
yeah,
home across the street from me just sold for I want to say like 1.5 million.
uh-huh, yep. So a million in California today is a shack somewhere
Hmm.
in a perhaps undesirable area too.
Hmm.
So for us to think about how can we help that cop? How can we help that young cop who is also pursuing the American dream to be a
Hmm.
homeowner? What can we do? Now, certain areas, right? Obviously, not in Beverly Hills, right? But somewhere where it's nice community, affordable community. So we've come up with this product where it's first time home buyer, 0% down. That's it.
Yeah,
And so we have right now we have quite frankly a huge amount of interest in this product from law enforcement
yeah,
personnel, sworn. The only problem in California right now, there's not enough supply.
yeah.
Um, and within San Francisco, right, it's the price. It's even though they may be able to get in without having that down payment, but
Yeah.
it's a challenge because it's just simply supply and demand.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I keep thinking, because it's all about me. I'm an only child, Eddie. Yeah, I keep thinking about, Long Beach, which is kind of a city, within a city down here in Los Angeles. And, yeah, $1 million, isn't going to get you, a house, overlooking the ocean.
Mhm.
But you could be in a middle class neighborhood that's safe and good like Bixby Knolls on the other side of Long Beach
Mhm.
and get $1 million house and get a decent respectable house and be on Long Beach PD. So
Mhm.
there probably not in San Francisco. You guys, up there, everything's 2, 3 million, but down here you might be able to still find something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no question. Right. So really, it's about our never-ending quest, desire to do what we can for those who serve our community, for those who protect our community,
Mhm.
and for those that really want to do good, right? Because to me, law enforcement work is a noble profession.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so
it
it
is.
deserves some degree of consideration on our part of how can we help make their lives a little more, pleasurable.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to, a number of people, but one person in particular that comes to mind is Randy Sutton from the Wounded Blue
Mhm.
is, I keep saying, and obviously he agrees with me as a retired police officer, that law enforcement, needs to get back to, if it wasn't already, on that level with a doctor or a lawyer or a
Right.
nurse, that type of a profession. And the training needs to be there too. In fact, he brought up a specific point. He always says that we need the law enforcement around the country needs a PR campaign like the Marines had, the few, the proud, the
Yes,
Marines.
that's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. So California, it's a tough state. Yeah. Do you see police officers here from a financial standpoint? Because you do work with some law enforcement families outside of the state of California.
Yes.
Do you see, other than the obvious, which is the housing? Housing
Mhm.
is very expensive in this state, unless you want to live out in the middle of the desert, which I don't recommend. Yeah, other than the housing, what are some of the challenges that you see financially from some of the law enforcement families in California, and maybe some of the little mistakes that they make that you're like, if you just did this
Yeah.
instead, that would be really good for you.
We obviously, as a financial institution that caters to primarily the law enforcement
Yeah.
community, we do see a lot. But what we see really is um, it's not out of the ordinary compared to the normal consumer.
Hmm.
And and what I would say is what is apparently lacking is financial literacy.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, all of us have heard that,
Yeah.
financial literacy being thrown around, but what does that really mean? And I think in based on our experience, where it's lacking, really, it starts out with the school education system.
Hmm.
That something like this need to be taught, right? Is how do you manage a checking account? How do you manage what's the difference between a savings account versus a certificate of deposit and so forth?
Hmm. Right.
I think for um, and I'm certainly throwing this out in
Sure.
generality. I'm sure there are some that are very astute as far as managing their personal finances, but then on the flip side of the coin, there are those that are just completely oblivious
Hmm.
and willing to pay, let's just say, credit card interest rates at over 25%
Yeah.
and don't think anything of it. So for us, we try to, as a matter of fact, yesterday we had a team of whom I think Darlene
Hmm.
from our membership development group. She and her partner Layla went out to teach a financial literacy session to about
Hmm.
70 um, high school kids.
Sure.
And so this is also our effort to teach the young, but
Hmm.
also the current group of young officers out there, they too need to be taught about certain things. So for
Right.
example, some of them may have assets, but they go around, do their daily work without either a will or without a living trust. And this is where we could help them. right? We advise them, we counsel them, we teach them the value, really explain, hey, the difference between a will and a living trust, and why you should, have a trust established to protect your assets from really kind of the threats. And so for us, and to do that, we also offer a trust service to have, we partner up with a law firm that could help create that trust for that officer and family at a significantly reduced price.
Yeah.
Some of our members are really astounded, shocked. You can do a trust at that price? Yes, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And compared to, because they do shop around as well, and says, wow,
Yeah.
this is the best deal possible. So we're very proud to be able to offer that service as well. But again, it's financial literacy, understanding whether the compounding, the power of compounding,
Yeah.
as well as looking at, hey, if so and so charges you this amount of interest versus this, well, what's the best loan type possible to fit this? Oftentimes, we have members that are doing, let's say, home improvement
Mm-hmm.
on a credit card that is charging in excess of 20%,
Yeah.
when you can do that very easily with a home equity line of credit
Yeah.
at far, lower than half
Yeah.
of that cost of the credit card.
And that's one of the few times it actually makes good financial sense to take out a home equity loan. If you're taking out money from your home to put it
Right.
back into your home, that's one of the few times that it actually makes a whole hell of a lot of sense.
Sure. And then also there's the propensity for, someone young to acquire, the toys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they get one toy here, one toy here, one toy here, right? So they have different, of course, all of these are on borrowings, on borrow funds.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're able to reach out to them and advise, hey, look, you're paying a lot of interest payments here.
Yeah.
Let's help you consolidate them with one of our consolidation loans.
Yeah.
That you can either half that payment, right, give you back better cash flow in your pocket,
Mm-hmm.
as well as saving interest payments. Why would you want to
Yeah.
pay somebody else a lot more?
Yeah. Not to mention that if you have if you're an active officer and you have a consolidation loan at Police Credit Union of California, then it probably falls under that end of watch that we talked about earlier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. So here you are. You're able to benefit from lower payment, lower amount of interest paid, but at the same time, you're covered with the end of watch program.
Yeah. Yeah, great points. It reminds me, one of my consulting clients in Ridgecrest, California. They're not a police credit union, but also a very, very honorable financial institution like yours, called Desert Valleys. They're a community credit union, and they offer this program, I think, once a year for high school students in the area called Bite of Reality. I think that's something
Yes.
that the California Nevada League puts out, and a lot of people have talked about that and says, we need that for cadets. We need that for officers in the academy. And to that point, yeah, I've heard people from Desert Valley's FCU say that parents bring their kids in for this exercise, Bite of Reality, on a Saturday, and the parents are like, I didn't know that. I need to go through this exercise because, I'm learning things.
And two is,
Yeah.
look, we are in the financial wealth profession.
Yeah.
Others are not, right? There's certainly their specialization is, let's say, in law enforcement. But certainly it is incumbent upon us to be able to share, to guide, to counsel those that are members or potential members, right? As to, hey, the best step for you is this or that. Now, you may choose us, you may choose somebody else, right? Another financial institution. But I think it is part of our job, our responsibility as responsible corporate citizens to share with you, hey, there are better ways of managing your finances other than just simply go out, buy, and borrow
Yeah.
from multiple sources.
Well, to kind of bring this full circle as we begin to wrap up, I think it ties in perfectly to what you said at the beginning of our discussion, which was peace of mind.
Mhm.
And I'll share, and my audience knows this. I'm an alcoholic in recovery over 4 years, and during my alcoholic exploits before I got sober, despite having a finance degree, despite, working in the financial industry for decades, I got in trouble. I got into trouble with that. And it's very, very easy. And I think this ties into police officers not wanting to talk about getting killed in the line of duty, for instance, is they have this in the back of their mind. Well, in the world we live in today, I could get shot and killed tomorrow, so I'm going to get that boat.
Mhm.
I could die 2 days from now, so I don't really want to sit down and look at my finances. I want to enjoy my time off. But I think that, at least what I've found is, I've got spreadsheets now. We keep track of all of our finances, and that peace of mind when the picture isn't as great as you'd want,
Mhm.
but at least there's the knowledge of, okay, there are things that I can do to fix this. And then as that progresses into a picture that looks better,
Mhm.
yeah, it's that peace of mind to say, okay, we're on the right track. We're good here.
Yes.
This debt's been paid off. This debt's still here, but it's at a low interest rate. Yeah, we've got this. To use language that a police officer would understand, is we got this. We got this by the ass.
Mhm.
So, therefore I can have peace of mind, and I can go back to relaxing. I can go back to having fun on that boat because I know I'm paying 7% instead of 17% on it.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's we feel that there's a responsibility on our part. We may provide the loans, but we also
Mhm.
provide the guidance, the counseling, right?
Yeah.
To help put you, the borrower, in a better position, as opposed to some other financial institution that simply want to push their products, charge you as much as they can,
Yeah.
call it a day.
Yep. And we'll kind of close with this, and I'll ask you one last question.
Hmm?
But what you mentioned with the trust services, I think is spot on. I know there are other credit unions that offer that and aren't as boisterous
Mhm.
about promoting that, and I think that's huge. My wife and I have a trust. It gives us, going back to your theme of peace of mind, yeah, it gives us peace of mind that if something happens to either of us, there's no probate. There's none
Correct.
of this is going to be an issue because it's all laid out. And
Right.
we've got a family member where that isn't all laid out, and something happened and it's chaos.
Mhm.
So I think that to kind of close up here, that the Police Credit Union of California, more so than just a checking account or a credit card. If you're an officer, you're a first responder, you want peace of mind, you know, walk past Wells Fargo and get on your phone and check out Police Credit Union of California. Is that a good marketing campaign for you or not?
Oh, I love it. I love it, Ken.
So, to kind of close up for those officers out there,
Uh-huh.
obviously you serve the whole state. And I love that you do, because I think that this whole state needs an institution that is specifically focused on law enforcement. So if you're a cop in Ridgecrest, you're a cop in Long Beach, you're a police officer in San Diego, and you are watching this or listening to this, say, yeah, I want more info. What's the best place to start to learn more about Police Credit Union of California?
First place, I would suggest, since today we live in the electronic world, the digital world, go to our website, right? It's www.thepolicecu.org. It's full word, ThePoliceCU.org. That is the starting point. However, if you choose not to go through the digital channel, we're only a phone call away, right? So we have a 800 number that you can call, and any of our staff, our contact center staff, can assist you in explaining really what product services that we offer, as well as how you can go about becoming a member. There's one other thing that I wanted to kind of broadcast out there.
Please.
We now also have, in addition to our brick and mortar branch, we also have a virtual branch. So what does that mean? Well, it means that whether by using your smartphone, you can reach us through the internet, and you will see, basically it's like a FaceTime, almost like a FaceTime call with one of our staff that is available to assist you. And that service is 6 days a week, right? It's Monday through Saturday. And the beauty of it is, if you are accustomed to dealing with one specific member of our team using that channel, you can always set up an appointment to go back to the same person. So let's just say
Nice.
you enjoy, working with Mary because you find her to be very easy to work with and very pleasant. Next time, just set up an appointment. Hey, I wanted to talk to Mary at Monday at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Nice.
So that could be done. But that service is very, very well received by our membership. We've only we've launched it since last December, and it has really kind of taken off right now. Plus, we have the ability to chat with you. So let's just say if the caller's in, patrolling in his or her black and white, and gee, I have a question. Well, chat with us, and you'll get a chat response back.
Yeah.
So we can be reached through multiple channels now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you're talking to an actual person and they ask what time to
Yes.
call back, maybe you should say, well, my spouse will be done with the kids at 8:45 a.m. Call at 8:47 a.m. and talk to him or her because I'll be
Yes.
asleep. But Eddie, that's awesome. I personally really appreciate what you're doing in our state for law enforcement. And I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate you taking some time with us today.
No, it's been a privilege and honor for me to be on your show today and to talk about really the things that we can do and that we have also done for our law enforcement community members. And that to me, it's there's no greater calling than to serve them.
Agreed. It's our pleasure to have you. And thank you to all of you who have either watched or listened to this episode of Public Safety Talk Radio. And we'll be back with you next week with another great guest.
Public Safety Talk Radio is produced by the POCUA. The POCUA is a consortium of financial institutions serving law enforcement as well as other first responders and public safety professionals. To learn more about our association and to find one of our credit unions or service providers near you, go to www.policecreditunions.com. And always remember, if you aren't working with one of our POCUA credit unions, you're just banking with an institution that just so happens to serve first responders. As a public safety professional, you and your family deserve better. Find a POCUA credit union today.